What happened to one of the few Vegas traditions that once made ordinary people feel taken care of? Why is something that used to symbolize generosity now priced like a luxury product? What changed inside a city that once welcomed families with open doors and full plates? And who is really benefiting while a beloved part of Las Vegas culture is quietly being stripped away? This is not a future threat. The damage is already here. Buffet by buffet, closure by closure, price hike by price hike. Vegas has been dismantling one of its most accessible rituals. To understand how it happened, you have to go back to where the buffet began. Long before Las Vegas became a landscape of neon lights and billion-dollar resorts, it was a rough desert stop built on ambition and risk. Gambling was legal, entertainment was growing, but casinos faced a simple problem. When the shows ended late at night and the restaurants shut down, hungry gamblers started walking out the door to find food somewhere else. So early casino operators came up with a practical solution: feed them cheaply, and they will stay longer. Buffets were never created to impress anyone. They were built to keep players inside the building. A few cold cuts, a couple of hot trays, and an unspoken message hanging over the room. Eat as much as you want, as long as you keep gambling. It worked even better than expected. Very quickly, casinos understood that the buffet was not just food. It was a promise. A promise that even the little guy, the bus driver, the electrician, the school teacher, could walk in and feel like a high roller for one night. As the 60s, 70s, and 80s rolled in, Vegas buffets entered their golden age. What began as a practical late-night fix turned into something much bigger. Midnight snacks became full-scale spreads. Prices were absurdly cheap. Lines stretched around corners. And casinos did not mind losing money on the food because they already understood the real math. Whatever they gave back at the buffet, they would make up for on the casino floor many times over. That was the old Vegas bargain. Come inside, sit down, eat well. We will take care of you. And people believed it because for a long time it was true. What made those buffets unforgettable was not the quality of the food. It was the feeling around them. A father stacking slices of roast beef onto his plate. A mother reaching for shrimp cocktail. Vacationers relaxing. Locals celebrating birthdays, holidays, and Sunday dinners. The buffet was not just where people ate. It was where they gathered. It was community, served on a warm plate. By the early 1990s, the buffet had entered a new phase. Casinos realized it could be more than a cheap attraction. It could become spectacle. Across Las Vegas, properties began launching giant super buffets built to outshine one another. Almost overnight, the buffet stopped being just a meal and became an event. There were hundreds of dishes, stations inspired by different parts of the world. Carving tables, seafood towers, custom grills, pastry displays that looked almost theatrical. Casinos poured millions into turning buffets into destinations of their own, and people traveled from across the country just to eat there. The buffet had become one of the clearest symbols of Vegas excess, but it still held on to something the average visitor could reach. Even when prices rose to $20, then $30, people accepted it, because the value still felt undeniable. Then the luxury era arrived. Casinos stopped competing only on quantity and began competing on quality. Prime rib carved to order, omelets made fresh right in front of you, sushi counters, French pastries, ice sculptures, live cooking stations. Buffets were no longer just loss leaders, they were bragging rights. This was the height of the Vegas buffet, the peak. And no one understood it at the time, but it would never be better than this. Then corporate Vegas started to smell opportunity. As casinos grew into billion-dollar corporations, the philosophy changed. The old question had been, how do we take care of our guests? The new question was colder. How much more can we extract from them? Executives began to challenge the old logic behind the buffet. Why keep offering cheap food when premium prices could produce stronger margins? And slowly, almost quietly, the entire system began to shift. Prices moved upward. Lines grew longer. Menus became smaller. Local buffets were cut back, downsized, or erased altogether. Then 2020 arrived, and the balance broke in an instant. The global shutdown gave casinos the perfect cover to do what many had already wanted for years: end the buffet model. What was presented as a temporary closure soon became permanent for dozens of beloved buffet locations. Casinos pointed to health protocols, staffing shortages, and food waste. But the underlying truth was more direct than that. Buffets do not generate the kind of profit that food halls do, upscale restaurants do, $20 sandwiches do. The buffet had always been an investment in loyalty, and corporate Vegas no longer valued loyalty the way it once did. Before 2020, Las Vegas had more than 70 buffets. Today, barely a dozen remain. The numbers tell one part of the story. The emotional damage tells the rest. Locals lost familiar gathering places. Visitors lost affordable meals. Families lost one of the last spaces where everyone could sit together without anxiety over the bill. And what took their place was not something warmer or better. It was trendy food halls, boutique vendors, artisanal branding, and strip pricing. In other words, a more expensive system designed to look modern while asking people to pay more for less. As buffet after buffet disappeared, something subtle but deeply damaging began to take hold. The few that remained started raising prices. Not slowly, not carefully, almost overnight. The same buffets that once pulled people in with $7.99 all-you-can-eat signs, suddenly charging $49.99, $59.99, even $79.99 for dinner. At first, many people tried to explain it away. Everything costs more now. This is Vegas. You are paying for the experience. It is still cheaper than ordering several entrees at a restaurant. But the increases did not stop. The prices moved up again. Then again. Then again. Before long, an ordinary dinner buffet cost as much as a steakhouse. And for families, the numbers became impossible to ignore. A family of 4 can easily spend $300 to $500 at some buffets before drinks, tax, or tip. That exposes something uncomfortable about what Vegas has become. The buffet used to be the great equalizer. Now it functions like a dividing line, separating the people who can still afford to eat well from the people who cannot. What made it worse was that the higher price did not necessarily bring higher quality. Many buffets reduced seafood nights, carving stations, fresh omelets, or premium desserts, while still charging more. Casinos had figured something out. Guests were no longer paying for the food itself. They were paying for the Vegas experience. In plain terms, they were being charged extra for nostalgia. At that point, the buffet was no longer about feeding people. It was about extracting as much money from them as possible. The old Vegas formula had been simple. Give people value, and they will come back. That formula died. In its place came a harder logic. Charge whatever the market will tolerate. And if some people complain, it does not matter. Someone else will replace them. That mindset changed everything. Families who once visited 2 or 3 buffets every trip now skip them entirely. Locals who used to go every week have not returned in years. Visitors who loved buffets because they were affordable now treat them as luxuries. And the worst part is how this cycle keeps feeding itself. Casinos look at the expensive buffets that still survive and tell themselves the model is working. Prices go up. Fewer people come. More buffets close. Then the survivors raise prices even higher. Buffets did not just become more expensive. They were pushed out of reach for the very people who loved them most. When the buffets died, Las Vegas did not just lose a meal. It lost a ritual. Buffets were woven into the culture of the city. They were where families started their vacations, where locals marked birthdays, where friends met before a show, where couples recovered from long nights out, and where 3 generations could sit at one table without stress. Buffets offered something no food hall can manufacture: togetherness. Everyone could find something to eat. Everyone could sit together. Everyone could enjoy a real conversation without feeling rushed, monitored, or priced out of the room. And the loss runs deeper than nostalgia. Buffets were a quiet reminder of what Vegas once claimed to be: simple pleasures, generosity, hospitality. That is what makes their disappearance feel so revealing. Today feels colder, more transactional, more corporate, and the closure of the buffet may be one of the clearest symbols of that change. You can feel it walking the Strip. Every decision seems optimized for maximum spending. Every corner feels monetized. Every experience feels engineered. What replaced the buffets was not warmth. It was trendy food halls with neon signs and curated artisanal vendors selling $22 sandwiches, $16 tacos, $25 chicken bowls, $12 donuts, and $9 bottled water. Families cannot even eat together easily in that system. Every vendor has different prices, different wait times, different menus. And there is no guarantee there will be enough seating at all. The ritual is gone. The ceremony is gone. The ease is gone. And locals feel that loss even more sharply. For decades, buffets were their Sunday tradition, a place where grandparents, parents, children, and cousins could gather without needing reservations or spending heavily. Those memories are not being passed down in the same way anymore. That is the real tragedy. Vegas did not just lose buffets, it lost part of the heart that made those buffets matter in the first place. They survived for so long not because the food was cheap, but because they represented a city that still seemed willing to welcome everyone, not only the wealthy. Today, that promise feels like it is fading. Even now, with the buffet landscape almost unrecognizable compared with what it was 20 years ago, a handful of survivors still carry the torch. These are the places that have not fully abandoned the values that once made Las Vegas famous. They are not glamorous. They are not built for flashy ad campaigns. They are not the kind of places that get recycled through influencer TikToks under ring lights with royalty-free music in the background. But they still offer something that has become rare in this city: authenticity. Some off-strip casinos kept prices reasonable on purpose. They understand exactly who their customers are. Not whales, not elite tourists. Families, locals, and repeat visitors who want a good meal without financial pain. Places like the off-strip casinos that stayed loyal to their core audience. Locals casinos that still treat food as hospitality instead of a profit center. Smaller ethnic buffets around town still delivering remarkable value. Even the rare strip buffets that are still trying, in their own way, to honor what they used to be. These places do not chase trends. They do not nickel and dime every decision. They understand something corporate Vegas forgot. A buffet is not just about food. It is about community. You can feel the difference as soon as you walk in. The lines feel friendlier. The staff recognize returning customers. The room feels less like a revenue machine and more like a gathering place. There is something quietly powerful about eating beside people who remember what Vegas used to be. People who still appreciate value, who understand tradition, who carry the same nostalgia in the room with them. Every plate becomes a reminder that Vegas does not have to be expensive to be great. It does not have to be exclusive to feel magical. And it does not have to be redesigned around corporate profit to survive. These surviving buffets prove something simple and important. There is still a market for kindness, still a market for value, still a market for the old Vegas spirit. They may not survive forever, but while they are still here, they are worth supporting. Not only for the food itself, but for what they represent. Because choosing those places, it is a meal. Decision. It is a vote with your wallet. It is a choice in favor of a version of Vegas that still deserves to live. And that is why the story of the Las Vegas buffet was never just about food. It is a mirror of what happened to the city itself. A place built on generosity slowly learned to prioritize profit. A tradition rooted in taking care of the little guy was replaced by pricing models designed for corporations. An experience meant for everyone was gradually transformed into an experience reserved for only a few. But the story is not over yet. The future of Vegas will not be decided only in boardrooms or by executives. It will also be shaped by the people who visit, the locals who still live there, and the communities that still care about what this city becomes. Every time someone chooses a value buffet instead of a trendy, overpriced food hall, they keep that idea alive. Every time they talk about the Vegas they remember, they keep that memory alive. Every time they say clearly what this city has lost, they keep pressure on the people who pretending nothing changed. Buffets may be disappearing, but the idea behind them does not have to disappear with them. Vegas should still be a place where families can eat together, where locals can enjoy themselves without going broke, where visitors feel welcomed instead of targeted, where memories are made, not monetized. So, what is your buffet story? Did you grow up going to buffets with your parents? Did you celebrate a birthday, a win, or even a loss with a trip to your favorite spread? Is there one buffet you miss more than any other? Or one you still support because it still feels like Vegas? Share that story. Because if enough people speak up, Vegas does listen. The soul of this city was never hidden in slot machines or mega resorts. It lives in the people who still believe Las Vegas should remain a place where everyone, not only the wealthy, can enjoy a taste of the good life. And that is a tradition worth fighting for. One plate at a time.